All right. I'm in the house with Hal from the Hal Show. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to have Sandy Rochelle, who's a photographer up in Nashville here. But Sandy's got some other stuff going on. We invited Kai and Kimmett. Kimmett was not available. He is DJing at the High Museum. If you're in Atlanta and you're driving around and you need air conditioning, that may be a place that you want to go. You get art and air conditioning, possibly some wine. And if you go next door to the restaurant who's has an address, which I'm not completely familiar with, that place has snacks for you. It's weird. I changed the Jason State and the streaming live 15 minutes of fire for 8. It's not 15 minutes of fire. This is the conversation. I'm with Hal. If you give me 2 seconds, Hal, entertain the people with your Dallas hat. Maybe they can throw some negative Dallas comments at you. I'm going to change what this says here, and then I'm going to be right back. It'll take 30 seconds.
You take your time, ladies and gentlemen. I am Hal, aka The Hal Show. For those of you who are checking us out, yes, it says 15 minutes of fire, but it's not. It's Sunday afternoon conversations of fire. Oh, wait, we had to come up with an interesting name. Sunday afternoon deadly discussions of intellectual doom. Maybe is that a good one? Maybe. Welcome to everybody coming in slowly. Nice to see everybody just hanging out here.
Now it says the right thing, but in all likelihood, it's not going to change. Miss JUK, send me a message on WhatsApp if you can hear me, and we'll be ready to go. Also, Hal, I don't know if you knew about this. They've got like a container show, container system down there under the Beltline. It's a radio station inside of a container, like a shipping container.
What?
It's crazy. It's crazy. They're streaming all the time. They got cameras inside of it. Jeremy Ishmael is down there right now. Alley Cat Music does a show 3 to 5 on Sundays. They have great DJs like Kai Alce. They've got Kimmett, who's got a show down there. If you know Kieran from the Music Room, he's down there. They had, if you ever went to Sound Table or you have been in Atlanta long enough to really, really be a long-term fan of house music and the house environment, that is Mr. Injex, Carl Injex. He's also got a show down there. It's pretty fantastic. Divine Bling's in the house. House Shoes is in the house. What's up, homie?
Blue Suede Shoes, what
Blue
up?
Suede Shoes is in the house.
Divine Bling.
Yep, there's a lot of lurkers out there. But lurkers, this is the Twitch show. I'm going to do a conversation where I'm going to invite everybody from Twitch, and me and Hal are going to learn about our Twitch friends. If you are willing to join the chat with us, all you have to do is direct message Miss JUK, and she'll pass you a link. You'll turn that link on. I'll go in the closet, not in a weird way, and click the switch, and that will allow you to join the chat and hang out with us and tell us a little bit more about some of the creative things that you're doing. Again, we were going to have Sandy Rochelle, DJ Kimmett. I hit up DJ 9 Iron. He's very busy on Sundays. By the time he gets done doing what he's doing on Sundays, he's passed out. He doesn't wake up until much, much later. And then, as you know him, the energy peaks, his superpowers engage, and he starts playing music online. Hundreds of people show up from all over the planet. He tells everybody Konnichiwa. It's fantastic. By the way, if you are watching on Twitch, are you sharing this? Because that's the way we get other audience members, is by sharing things. So don't be stingy. Share the link with your friends and host the channel, and maybe other people will also watch, and I'll develop a following, and one day I won't be DJing online with myself, giving myself shout outs, listening to myself do stuff. It's crazy. We're all watching the news. Hal is a big news buff. He does an incredible show. He's way ahead of us on everything. I
got some news for you.
Is it about Dick Cheney?
No, it's actually about Twitch.
Oh, what's Twitch doing?
So I was rounding up some stuff for tax purposes or whatever, and searching through all of my Twitch-related emails, many of which I totally missed. And there was one that came out that says the desktop Twitch app is going away at the end of this month.
So let's see what that means. On an actual computer, desktop computer, whichever kind you have, no more Twitch app. Is that
no more
correct?
Twitch app? So,
but there's still an app on the phone.
Yes, and I'm
And then
assuming you
what
can
about
do
television
browser.
sets?
Now the email said that the app was going away and it looked like they were going to focus on Twitch TV. So I don't know if that means that you can't log in via web browser, but I know numerous people talk about trying to support those of us in the Twitch community, and folks are notorious for having multiple tabs
Devices
open
and
or
tabs. Yeah.
whatever so that they can support more than one of us at a time. So I don't know how many people it will affect. uh I my mods were wondering how that will affect them because they've, I guess there's a mod dashboard. Miss J UK, you can speak on that. I'm not a mod. Well, okay, technically I'm a mod for somebody, but I'm like a
But you're
shadow
never
mod.
there.
I'm never
Like
there.
like on my stream. Got it.
I'm I'm,
So
I'm not your
yeah,
mod,
you gotta be
but
quick. You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick, Hal. You gotta be quick.
man, I'm the super
Um,
lurker of 15
so
minutes. Don't make
here's
me
the
put my
thing.
shirt on.
Our computer is now essentially our television set. How many people are they restricting from viewing if it's not on your computer? Like, if is it still available via the browser? Is it still available? If you're just logging on. I mean, are they totally ignoring that? I mean, how's that going to change viewership?
See, I don't know. We'll have to see because we'll just have to see. And like I said, I just saw that like an hour and a half ago, and was like, guess we just gonna have to see. Matter of fact, here I will read you the email. The email says, da, 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 da. Okay. Hey, the Hal Show. Based on usage and community feedback, we've made the difficult decision to shut down the Twitch desktop app on April 30th. We believe the best experience for our users is on Twitch TV, and we want to focus our energy on building new features for you there. You're getting this email because our data tells us you recently used the app. This mostly means instead of the desktop app, you can access every bit of Twitchy goodness you've come to expect fully integrated into the experience on Twitch TV.
That's not right. I don't have a keyboard on my
Oh
television.
wait, you
So
know what? I'm misreading it. Twitch.tv. So basically they're going to push things to the browser. Let me see. Let me clarify.
honestly, that makes sense, Hal, because if you use Restream or you use Stream, or a lot of applications now are becoming browser based.
Yeah,
In other
yeah,
words,
yeah.
you're accessing them through Java or whatever is
Yep.
set up for the thing. So I get that, because maybe constantly upgrading an app to fit different operating systems is taking up a lot of programming power, and it'd be much better to just do it through a portal. Maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah, and I guess speaking, like I said a second ago, for the mods, I mean that would Miss J, is y'all's mod controls, are those web browser based anyway? I guess I could ask my mods. I could send them a message and ask them that too. But I wasn't sure. So anyway, yeah, that email said twitch.tv. So yeah, that kind of changes it a bit. They're going to push things to the web, like you just said, Jason.
You got to be careful, because everybody's getting older, and you start putting, periods in things, they'll miss them. It'd be cool to know who's in the chat right now. I got 6 people, Hal. 6 people. This is if I get up to 10, it's a world record. And
we gonna get there, bro. We gonna get there.
I can get the belt like my man Pastor Troy used to have back in the day. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Pastor Troy used to rock a belt. A WWF, well, not even WWF. It was like the WCW, or
the big gold. Yes,
yeah,
the
it was
big
like
gold
an
belt.
old school wrestling belt. It was crazy.
The big gold belt, along with driving the big Ford F650 that they made. You remember that one?
Yeah,
it was
those were
big and yellow.
Look, man, I drove my homie's truck home last night. He had his birthday party, and to be honest with you, like the larger 150 is too big for me. Like, I feel like I'm parallel parking on the freeway when I drive a truck like that. I'm not a Teamster. I can drive. I don't feel like I'm always prepared to drive a truck that's wider than a third of my house. I live in a townhouse. I think that my car should fit inside the profile of my house. But that's just me.
That's no fun. We need something like big. I mean, especially you seeing these days with these people, and they're lifting them with the big wheels and super large shocks and the lift kits and all of that stuff. It's crazy. But my Everybody has their that vehicle that they aim to get one day. And if I was just had a bunch of money to just throw away right now, I would go get a Ford F-150 crew cab Raptor and put a couple extra toys on it. It'd be slightly bigger tires, not lifted looking crazy redneckish, but maybe some Mickeys or something.
Well, for me, I think I would just get a tank and I would try and keep it to military specs because I fear a Russian invasion by Vladimir Putin.
Putin is stupid. Putin is
Watch it. Watch it. Yo,
crazy.
you got to watch how you talk about that dude. He monitors everything. He works out a lot. He goes into actual war zones and just walks around. Yeah, the Raptors are ridiculous blue shoes. Those are some fantastic looking trucks. I
I
love those
love
things.
him. I
They
love
said on the internet is never, it always contradicts itself. Angie Dickinson, who everybody remembers from multiple films throughout
Yeah.
if the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, Angie Dickinson is 90, but on the internet news it says, and this is ABC News, it says she's turning 100. This is her now. I don't need to see the picture of her now. This was all under an article that I was reading about Joe Biden expected to release rules on ghost guns. I didn't know there were ghost guns. I don't believe in ghosts, and I don't believe ghosts have guns, but it would explain a lot of unsolved mysteries in shootings, and I'm not sure if I want to know everything. China is about to get as stupid as well. Blue shoes, I wouldn't doubt that China and China, please let me back in the country if I ever want to come back and visit. I really enjoyed my visit there at the Great Wall and in Shenzhen, and I went to Beijing and several other places. Amazing country, but anyway, apparently, we've had a lot of issues with China's territorial gyrations, and they also have for years said that Taiwan is actually our country and wanted to reappropriate that. And then there's also the issues that go on humanitarian wise with Hong Kong, which is an amazing place. Hong Kong was basically it was it was Dubai before there was Dubai. I took a boat into a hotel lobby, got out, and then went up. And every level, you needed to have more money to get up the levels, like a video game. Like one level you go up and it's everybody in the mall. Then the next level you go up, it's like you have like a pre-purchased or pre-arranged pass. Then the next level, you either have to be a person who owns a place in the building or you have to be in the hotel. And then there's stores above those stores, and those were appointment only places. But anyway, I'm sure Hong Kong is vastly different than when I went. I was in the 8th grade, and I had, I had socks that you pull all the way up, and I had short shorts. And, there wasn't even a Public Enemy record out at that time. So things changed drastically. As hip hop evolved, we evolved. But I could see how China, and the reason that they're not speaking out against Russia, and the issues that the Security Commission is having, because they want to reappropriate several different areas and they want to expand their reach as well. And everyone is trying to show that because of the last, some people say 16 years, definitely the last 4 years, United States is not the same level of world power that it was, and that countries that do have a robust plan for themselves are trying to reach out, expand their influence in other countries. And now that it appears that Russia can just walk into a country and take it over, that other people may be able to, or may think they are able to do the same thing. So I can see where you could be right about that, Mr. Blues Shoes. By the way, what are blue shoes or blue suede shoes? Oh,
Please
it's
don't
blue suede
step
shoes.
on my
I
blue
just called him.
suede
I deleted the
shoes.
suede and I just called him Mr. Blue Shoes, which don't exist. But blue suede shoes do exist apparently because Elvis made a song about them.
Please don't step on my blue suede shoes.
Do you own Hal? You kind of get fly sometimes. I've seen you with bow ties on in pictures. I can't prove that you're selling bean pies or that you are selling the final call, but you could be involved with the fruit of Islam, and you may wear blue suede shoes.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Prove me wrong.
No, don't have no blue suede shoes. No, just
blue suede shoes. Who's Mr. Dana?
Mr.
It's not a cultural thing. It's all political. Of course, it's all political. But then the expansion of your culture to other places is political.
Geopolitical, yes.
It's geopolitics.
Because China, it used to have blue suede shoes for school. They were the ugliest things I ever had. See, I didn't have blue suede shoes. The only blue shoes. Okay, I had a pair of blue Sebagos back when I was in school,
I have
middle
to Google
school.
I have to Google Sebago
You go ahead.
because I
And I
don't
might
even
have
know how
had
to
some blue
spell Sebago.
sneakers. Might have had some blue sneakers.
I think there's
But
two different things. I mean, Mr. Blue Suede shoes. Are we talking blue suede Pumas or blue suede Gazelles? Or are we talking about like the the um the Kurt Franklin God's Properties giant silver buckle on the front, low top blue suede shoes?
they still sell them. No, they don't. He said God's property. Boy, he's a fool.
Yeah.
Ah,
So what are these shoes? You want to throw them up on the screen, Hal, so we can see what the
I'm trying to
Sebagos are like?
find them. Here's I got the brown ones. Let me see. Share screen, Chrome tab.
Are those blue suede Pumas or BS Pumas? What are they? Blue suede shoes. Oh, hold on. I gotta activate Hal's. I have to activate Hal's page. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it remotely without screwing everything up. I believe this is that computer. Is my local? I think. Hold on. Everybody stand by to see if I have remote control. Jason Staten, would you like to accept remote control? Yeah, I have the password. I am Jason Staten. Computer.
This dude be dashing in and out of the screen like Snagglepuss. Exit. Stage right.
Da, 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 da. Yeah, I mean, I normally do that when I just stop DJing. So you had blue suede.
I had some blue ones and I've had brown ones. Those are Sebagos. Used to wear those. They were kind of preppy. Wear those to school sometimes with some slacks and a nice shirt. Yeah, that was them were the joints. Them were the joints.
Man, yep. Dana. All right, so listen up. That's an interesting reality. Hal, talking about Twitch,
Yep.
what made you decide to start the Hal Show, right? And then how did you start it, and how did you build up all this momentum that you have? I mean, there's at least 50 people listening to the Hal Show at like 10 o'clock in the morning when people are supposed to be at work, getting their kids ready for school. People are supposed to be, cleansing themselves, using their facilities.
So for years, because I love, there's something about politics that I enjoy. Uh-huh. I like politics, and I am way too, how would I describe it? I like debate and discussion. And I've been like that for years. And people were always like, you should do a show, because usually whenever I'd get into a debate, whatever stance I took tended to not be way over here, way over here. It would kind of be, okay, I get what you're saying. This is how I feel. And it's somewhere in the middle, more centrist oriented. All right. So people kept saying you should do a show. I went so far as to create a blog. That was years ago. It was a political blog. It still exists somewhere out there. And I created the Hal Show as my Gmail email address in anticipation of doing a political show at some point, but just never got around to it. All right.
Now, was that email before the pandemic, or was that after the pandemic?
I've had the Hal Show as my email address for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. So it just sounded cool. So anyway, fast forward 2020, COVID, and then you guys are doing sets on IG. See, I still remember, it was LV at 10:30, and I think Mars was at 11:30, and then you were on at 5, Brax was on at 5, E-Class I think was on at 6, Deliver was on sometime after that. Y'all's group had your lineup, and so I, like a lot of other people, were rolling through the day checking y'all out. Well, February of last year rolls around, or January or something like that, and people, me, I go in and goof off in the chats, and people are like, "You should do something." I was like, "All right, I'm thinking about it." So finally, I said in January of last year that I was going to do a show. Sorry, I was going to do a show, and that I was going to start in the beginning of February.
Okay. What's up,
And I,
Rex?
and I told a couple people. I told Classics. I talked to a few people about it. Talked to LV. Talked to It's Your Girl Kim show. We sat down lunch, kicked around some ideas. Talked to a number of other people. I had DJ Classics who was in my ear, like, "All right, what date are you going to start?" I said, "Okay, I'm going to start Monday the 2nd." So she hammered me to make sure I started February the 2nd. Vader Mix, same thing. You going to start on the 2nd? All right, make sure you start on the 2nd. So February 2nd, started the show. Felt kind of awkward, sitting there talking to maybe a couple of people. It might have been 5 or 10 people or something like that, but just continuing to do it every day. So yeah, we get a little turnout. Some days better than others. Uh, More often than not, more people when there's a guest. But yeah, that's just how it just came to be. Me getting the goof off and people showing up, because I think we all helped each other get through COVID. That's the big thing. And then once we started getting back outside and trying to get back to normal, people just kept coming back. And that's where we are now. That's where we are now. 4 days a week, 9 a.m.
So tell me this: how do you promote your show? How did you, when you put your show on? What are the methods that you use to promote it?
Really, the main thing I have been doing is, when I promote it, it's because I'll say something on IG, and I really need to get better at promoting more, because sometimes I would put up an IG post. More often than not, it was just the usual, you show up in somebody else's chat and you're talking, and everybody's like, "Hey, be sure you're following the Hal Show." Just like, when you come in, just like we always do. We shout at each other to get people to make sure that they're following. So
Sure.
that's been my main way of promoting it. Sometimes I'll post over to Facebook, but I've just found that a lot of the people that are on my Facebook page don't really come over to Twitch much.
No, they
So,
don't. That's why I'm literally, and I don't care what Twitch does to me for this, because I'm not making any money off Twitch, and it's not like they're helping me develop some type of huge following. I use every single path of social media to garner an audience, and I still experiment. I mean, me and you had a lot of conversations before a lot of stuff started happening on Twitch, and I felt like a huge slight, because I would have conversations like, "I'm thinking about doing this," and then what happened? And I'm one of those guys, I can't do it. Like, if somebody finds a dig, or record or break that I found, it's very hard for me to use that break again without really turning it into something completely different. I feel like I'm biting. You know what I mean?
yep, you're trying to be
Um,
unique.
and so that's been stifling. But I think it's amazing that you developed a following. I think it's a hell of an accomplishment to uh, read the news, have an opinion, have other perspectives on the news, meaning more than one article, which means that you actually sit down and did show prep. I think that's impressive, and I congratulate you for that. And I say that because, as you know, I used to work at WSB, and Neil Bortz would be at WSB. If I had a 5 a.m. remote or a 6 a.m. remote, or if I had to do the Neil Bortz show, Neil would be in his office at the station reading stacks of newspapers, printing out stuff off of the internet. He never was the guy who just completely absorbed someone else's opinion. He didn't use, there's a thing called I think it was the hot list. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, it was a stack of information that got faxed to talk show hosts all over the country. If you ever wonder why people have the same information on their shows, it's because there's massive amounts of information that's pre-collated for them and passed on. This
Wow.
guy actually did a lot of his own research. And for you to do what you do, I mean, that's impressive. A lot of guys who do morning shows, they're not getting up. If they're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, that means they're waking up. Then they took a shower, they had a little something to eat, and they drove to work, and they came in. And by the time their show's starting, they're coming in hot. Everybody's walking in,
Yeah.
throwing down their folders, they're reading stuff, that's been highlighted off of a printout on the internet. If you're not doing that, if you actually have a cohesive idea and direction for your show, and then you can lay it out and you can guide it, that's actually a talent. So kudos to you for
I
being a real
appreciate that.
talk show host,
It's kind
even
of
though you're a
funny.
Dallas fan.
I mean, everybody has their
I mean, you're not as
weaknesses.
bad as Dax, who hates Detroit. He's my man and everything. He's a legendary DJ, but he did start the Twitch verbal war inside of the small bubble of Twitch people that we have. Just
so, so the funny thing is, funny you mentioned Bortz, because I was a Bortz fan. I used to listen to him back when I was listening to terrestrial radio. That didn't agree with everything he said,
of course.
but enjoyed him. Definitely was a fan of Royal Marshall. I mean, I still say just damn to this day. But it's like you said, the one thing I took from him that I remember and took to heart, because you just said he did all his own research and he would give his commentary based on that stuff. But he used to always say, don't take my word for it. Go out and do the research and, get your own opinion or whatever. So it's like he was telling you that he was giving you a jump off point. And then if it's something that caught your attention, go out and do some more reading about it. And of course,
Absolutely.
if you look at how things are now, like I'll do the news stories, and it's kind of funny. I've gotten away from it lately because really people start coming in the chat, and I'll just start riffing off of what people say. So lately, hadn't done a ton of news, but I'll usually aim to get 5 stories. It's whatever is going through my news feed. DJ Droopy would laugh and say I was getting news from the dark web, because I'm looking for something that's news yet entertaining, whether or not it's in a funny way or a dark way. Like some of these murder for hire plots that you hear about are just absurd. Or when, one story I did where overseas, I think Interpol, they arrested a bunch of people who were trafficking drugs and whatnot, because what they did was they created a fake platform, kind of like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Telegram, but kind of like WhatsApp or another platform. They created a fake platform, and these people who were doing all this trafficking were all getting on that platform and using it. And the authorities were just sitting there reading their mail.
Just for the record here, I always thought that Telegraph was a plot, because the marketing behind it is we have a completely secure way for you to chat. Immediately you tell somebody, people will believe anything. I mean, that's how we find ourselves in multitudes of situations that we're in. But here's the deal. Anytime someone markets something as being 100% secure, one of two things is going to happen. It's not as secure as they tell you it is, and there's going to be a security breach, or people who create security breaches are going to target that specific application or platform.
Right.
If I was, that's always been an FBI/CIA thing, specifically law enforcement agencies and the FBI. If you remember, they were throwing like not raffle parties, but they were having these things where they would tell people basically you have to come here to collect this. You filled out this form, or we chose your name, and they were telling these people who were like felons, who were basically hiding out different places. They would tell them that they won this money, and the dudes would show up, and then they'd arrest them. Anytime. I mean, it's it's phishing. I mean, how many instances do we have right now where we're studying things like the Gretchen, and I hate to lump these things together because of the political nature of them, but the Gretchen Wilmer kidnapping plot, and there were 2 or 3 other plots, and they were saying that whoever the FBI plant was egging them on or giving them resources that they would normally have. The reality is this: whether the person, to a degree, yes, absolutely, it's entrapment. But this is the thing. If you are fishing for a way to do something criminal, and another person provides a opportunity, fake or otherwise, for you to execute your criminal plot, you are still basically looking for an opportunity or method for
To
to
do
execute
it.
whatever criminal plot this is. So the thing is this: you are out there ready to go kill somebody or have somebody killed, and then they put a fake article in the newspaper, and a fake guy shows up to talk to you about killing somebody. You were still intent on killing that person. I know it's a little bit Minority Reportish, but
It's true.
by the way, speaking of Minority Report, a different level of Minority Report, so we can chain these ideas together. Has
Yes.
anyone here been watching Moon Knight?
I just started it. I'm so behind. It's a shame because usually with these shows coming out on Disney, I'm on top of it. But I have seen the first episode and most of the second.
It's very
So
interesting.
I was watching this first episode like, all right, y'all got to hurry up and tie this together because this is interesting. I was just waiting for the payoff, So I got to go back and finish watching the second episode. But yeah, it's interesting.
As viewers, I think we have to stop looking for quick payoffs. That's just my opinion. I think that
Well,
sometimes we have to appreciate the action and the confusion, especially in this particular instance, because it's about a guy with a personality disorder.
Yes.
So
now, what I thought was interesting, and I think it's based on the fact that usually in the previous shows, just based on how they're going, you knew more after the first episode than you did in Moon Knight. Moon Knight was really just showing you the basis for him, and spoiler alert.
Don't do it. No, go ahead.
Anyway,
I really don't care about spoilers.
Well, without spoilers, it just gave you. It did pull you in, because he's sitting there, and the next thing you know, he blinks out, he blinks back in, something's happened. Then all of a sudden, he blinks out, he blinks back in, something's happened. So,
and I like the fact they didn't flashback and fill in the blanks.
Right.
Not only did that save them thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of man hours and equipment time and shooting those or creating those effects non-practically inside of a computer, all the things that had to happen for whatever where we ended up to transpire. But I think it's okay when you leave a gray area or you leave a gap and it's left to the imagination of the viewer. I think we're much smarter as viewers, but somewhere in our human nature, we're looking for the path of least resistance. And I think the reality is that let's look at who they've had. Scarlet. Is the Scarlet Witch? It's
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. Then and with Vision, we knew who they were. We experienced them in the movies. There's been decades of comic books about them. The next episode or the next series was Falcon and Winter Soldier. We know who they are. They're well-established characters. They've been in all the movies. Then we went on to Hawkeye, established character, introducing another character that will be established long-term. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe part of the problem is that we don't know Moon Knight intimately. We haven't experienced huge stories based around him or that involve him. So to introduce a character, that's uncomfortable. I think it's a totally different, it's not a totally different shooting style, but it definitely is a different way of telling a story. And I appreciate anytime somebody pushes the envelope and tells a story a little bit differently. Not that we've absolutely never seen anything like this before, but I think that's fantastic. And I think it's going to be, I think long-term, it is going to be engaging. There's going to be some stuff that we fall out, that we don't fall in love with. I think a lot of us are not going to mess with some of the Star Wars stuff coming out, sadly. I think a lot of people didn't like Boba Fett. I think people, once you crack open the character and you give him an arc where he becomes, the Godfather instead of just being a hired gun, I think it throws people off. I think what people have to realize is that now Din Djarin is the hired gun, and so we don't need two Boba Fetts in our mental universe. So they've created Boba Fett has a different character, and then people are mad like he's 60 years old. In the canon of things, he wouldn't be that old. Like the dude was walking around the desert for years eating bantha meat. Nobody knows what bantha is. You know what I'm saying? Beating people with a stick. Speaking that language, the language of the sand people. I mean, it was rough out there, man. The hood,
was rough.
Those streets are hard.
Yo,
It'll
I mean,
age you.
it was it. Okay, so let me go. All right, see, I'm gonna have to start taking notes here. We all see. I love this. This is great. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to Star Wars in a minute. All right, so first, quick question: did they film any of Moon Knight here?
I believe there were pickups at least here. It's
Okay,
not obvious looking at the first two episodes. If you look it up online, they say they shot parts of it here. A lot of that could be the stuff that's on stages inside actual buildings, non-practical locations that they used. It could have been reshoots. Marvel, I think somehow people want everything Marvel to be shot here. People who live in Atlanta and who are fans of Marvel that are part of our community kind
yeah,
of would like this, and it's really cool that they shoot a lot of that stuff here. But honestly, that's a huge universe, and there's no way you could shoot everything inside of just one city, unless this entire city became stages. I think when you look at some of the stuff they're doing with Star Wars, especially the Mandalorian, they've begun shooting things with these huge LED walls that make you feel like you're in a specific space. Shout out to Heidi. That um you see all of this stuff and it seems like you're inside that world, but really you're on a stage and all of that stuff is behind it and they're controlling the depth of field and everything. I think that's an amazing leap forward in technology. And I think that will change the way that movies are made long term. But who's to say what will work in that environment and what won't work in that environment? So we'll see. But I loved the Mandalorian, and I liked personally the Boba Fett series. I liked the story it told. I know that with me, Star Wars seems to have some of the same mechanisms. Like you're always having to do Force 10 from Navarone. Everybody has to break into something and then get in a fight and then get out of it, and that we've been doing that since the first Star Wars. I think George Lucas, for all the negatives that people put on the early prequels, it wasn't about I got to break in here to steal this to take it someplace else, so that we can use it to defeat the Empire. It was more of a I'm saying this is this huge political war and a love story inside of this political war, and then an espionage story inside of the political war, and this is pre-Empire, and there's all these elements and things going on, and then just that the idea that initially stormtroopers weren't one dude. I mean, different dudes and different women inside uniforms. It wasn't men and women dressed up as stormtroopers. It's the same guy cloned hundreds of thousands of times
over and over and
over and over
over and
again,
over.
and specifically trained, to be this warrior for the Republic. It's just it's super inventive and amazing, and I'd love to have a conversation with George Lucas about how he's so good at world building. And honestly, Dave Filoni's really good at world building, and I don't know that Marvel would be Marvel, of course, without Kevin Feige, who I've met briefly, and I think he's amazing what he's doing with Marvel, and he hasn't had very many missteps. And the missteps that were that we all point out aren't really his missteps. They're kind of the every time the machine stamps out something, it's not going to be perfect. But he's done really well. But I mean, I got to give it to your man who did the original Iron Man, who did the Mandalorian, and did Boba Fett. God,
John Favreau.
Jon Favreau is
That man's pen game is incredible. I mean, I wasn't paying half attention, and he pops up in the Iron Man movie. He's happy. He's this goofy, happy-go-lucky dude, and you're just like, all right. And then find out for the first time. I can't. At some point, it's like, oh, he's writing this stuff. And then you watch the whole Mandalorian, and this dude's pen game
he's
is
bananas.
incredible. Incredible. You got one guy coming up with these storylines. And the thing that tripped me out about Boba Fett, because I understand what people were criticizing about it, and folks had to understand that really in the original three movies, we didn't see a lot of Boba Fett. I mean,
And that's what made it great, because basically he was the Clint Eastwood of the Star Wars universe. In other words, he didn't say much. When he did do something, it was controlled and small, and we knew very little about him. He was the man with no name, like the good, the bad, the ugly, a fistful of dollars and a few dollars more. We never knew, like, where's this dude from? What's this dude's name? His name isn't Blondie. Who is this guy? And what is his relationship with these other two dudes? Like, where we don't understand how all that was put together, and that made him cooler and more mysterious and more
Yep.
intriguing. Boba Fett, we didn't know anything about him because it's just a dude that would pop up and shoot somebody and then run off.
And then he got 8. And then he got 8. Like,
Like a
yo,
fry. He was just a French fry and a Happy Meal for that thing.
dang,
And he
here
was in there,
goes.
and then he was in there getting digested.
Now I will tell you that's what's interesting. It's like he was in there. His armor was enough to protect him from getting digested, whereas the stormtroopers who fell in there, you saw they were stormtrooper bodies, and their armor did not protect them from getting digested. But that I thought that was interesting.
Well, you know what that is? That's good writing because they introduced Beskar, and if Beskar can protect you from a lightsaber and a blast, and it can protect you from gunfire, and obviously, at least to some degree, Mandalorians are survivors, dude.
Yep.
They're the Apaches of
I like it.
Of the Star Wars.
So
universe.
here's a question for you. How long do you think it will be before we get to a point where Marvel is showing more than one series at a time? Because they're being real linear with this stuff, and they're showing, all right, you got this series, and then we're going to give you a break. Then we got this series, we're going to give you a break. Because next up is She-Hulk. They're also filming, I can't think of the, there's
They finished
another
Miss
one.
Marvel. They finished She-Hulk. I don't know what they're shooting right now. I know they just they're finishing up Guardians 3. And we know that next month, at the end of the month, or at the end of this month, beginning of next month, we get to see Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. So,
and really, it's kind of funny to think back during the last major phase, we were getting to where we were getting something every 3 months, and then over the course of like the last year and a half, we got the Eternals, which was okay, and then I'm trying to think. It's been kind of sparse compared to how it was during that.
We got the Eternals, we got Spider-Man, we got Venom, which is a Sony property that is somehow linked in with the Marvel universe, and let's see, Spider-Man, Venom, the Eternals,
that's Mobius, but that's Sony. That's not.
I'm not. Sadly, I'm not really driven to go out and watch Morbius right now.
Me either, but I'm just naming the movies, and I'm it's kind of like Marvel adjacent because it's a Marvel character, but not in the Marvel house. Sony was doing that, so it's. I guess we'll see if they really kind of pick it up because, of course, we're getting a season 2 of Loki. That's coming, and then
that was really, really, really a really good episode, man. Loki. Was
really so now they've got to build it up because, of course, now we've got to build up over the next X number of years to that big. And Black Panther, the second one's coming, and we got to build up to that big battle because it's going to be against Kang. Jason Abrams.
The question. First of all, it's dope that he has a character that's that huge that actually will have multiple instances of himself that will have divergent personality traits and timelines, and he's going to play all of them.
I love it when we talk database.
I kind of feel like this, like he's the first black quarterback. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, because when else, other than when Richard Pryor was doing ingenious movies like Which Way Is Up, and other than when Eddie Murphy was doing The Clumps, has somebody been trusted? And by the way, I believe they wrote those two different things. When have they been trusted a black actor to do something that complicated? Or, and for that matter, most times they don't really have actors doing that level of stuff. I mean, even in Spider-Man, they were all the 3 different Spider-Men. I mean, we're gonna look back to Doctor Strangelove. Like how many people can do multiple characters in their movie, but then do multiple versions of themselves in a movie? Like if you met yourself, could you play a different version of yourself that was not you?
Right.
You
That's a
know,
trip.
that's true. Like, can you reimagine yourself that many different ways and really make people believe it? That's it's a hell of a trick.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Oh, my next question for you. Because those of you who do not realize that this guy, his alter ego, is involved in the movie industry, so I can ask him fun movie industry questions. James Cameron did Avatar, and when he did Avatar, he came out with a new way of filming.
And
So for those of you, if you get a chance, go look it up on YouTube. James Cameron created this new camera where, like, if I'm standing here and I'm looking at Jason, I see Jason in the mock-up with the whatever the outfit is, so that when you put it into the computer, it makes him look like the character. But as soon as I take the camera and hold it up and I'm looking at the camera screen, it already mocked him up to make him look like the blue skinned characters in Avatar. It was amazing real time CGI type stuff. So the question is, why didn't that catch on? Why is it nobody else really made use of that? You'd think that something like that, somebody would have come up with another way of
they
using it,
do,
and you
they
didn't really.
do. That's not something. That's not something that doesn't happen. Some people use it, some people don't. Like I've been on sets. And, I can't talk about any of the sets I've been on. I've been on sets where,
Of course,
like the guy has not the main camera necessarily, but he has a camera and he's doing all the DI pre-work and prep work, measuring things and getting the maps that they use to build everything around. Dude had one of those cameras where when you looked at it, we were literally, of course, you can't talk about the movie. We're really, and there's a bridge and buildings and stuff like that. But really, we've only built the road. It only looks like a road, meaning like it's got a barrier in between and it's two sides and there's cars on it. But when you look at it through his camera.
Uh-oh. Did he freeze? Jason! He's not moving. Uh-oh. Somebody do CPR.
Are you back, Hal?
There you are. Okay.
All right. Hey, Laney Star.
Darlene.
I can't see your face moving. I kind of want to restart, but I think Miss JUK said you had special freeze powers, which is hilarious.
Swing.
It's like you can't freeze other people. You can just freeze yourself. That's a bogus superpower. Hey, Hal, turn yourself on and off and see if that works.
Turn the camera off or log out of the stream.
Turn your camera on and off.
My camera off. My camera on.
Huh. Let me try.
Am I moving?
Not right now, you're not.
So now I'm frozen on your screen.
Yeah, you're frozen. Were you frozen on your own screen?
No. And testing 1, 2. Anything?
I just rejoined you, which is interesting. And somebody else is your son playing video games right now? Is he online?
Who?
Somebody chatting to somebody? Huh.
My phone was sitting here and it was vibrating. That's about it.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Seems to only be Jason's end. It's fine, everyone here. Okay, then as long as I know Hal is on and you guys can see him, I'm sorry for interrupting the conversation and doing that. But back to what we were saying. That technology does get used. It's like anything else, Hal. There's so much advancement in the filmmaking world that you see technology in different places, different times, but everybody doesn't use it. And everybody doesn't use it the same way. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So it's it's one of those weird things that everybody doesn't, everybody doesn't use the same resources. Everybody doesn't have the same superpowers. Everybody doesn't have the same way of shooting things. Some people totally want to shoot everything practically, and other people, there's all types of CGI involved. It's amazing how diverse people's shooting styles and approaches are. Just like,
It is
your
amazing.
show, just like, the amount of research that you do, the amount of the approach that you take to certain ideas and concepts, all of that stuff is incredibly different than the way somebody else would approach it. There are other people, I think, talking about news on Twitch and in that world. I just don't, I couldn't name who they are. The question is, with Hal, you're having fun. I don't know that everybody would join and hang out if you weren't, having fun with them and interacting with them and making jokes. If you became a redstate.com type podcast where it was very political, you had very strong opinions,
Right.
and you were very serious about the opinions that you do have, which is really interesting. And I mean, I listen to Eric Erickson on WSB now that he's in the Rush Limbaugh slot, which was at one point in time with the Dr. Laura slot, or was it the Clark Howard slot? It was Dr. Laura.
Clark
Anyway,
Howard.
Clark Howard. Hey, everybody! They're selling 7,000-pound gumball cases. You could get 1 million gumballs for $1,000. If you put them in your refrigerator, you can have gumballs forever. You'll save all kinds of money if you're a gumball chewer. He's amazing, dude. That dude's so smart. So smart.
You gotta
he's
love
rich for
Clark.
a reason, and he's a very nice man. Anyway, back to the Hal Show. Have you thought about doing something that's more political and more directed? Like, I mean, do you want to talk to city politicians? And maybe I've thought about, what if you had city politician A and city politician B, and you had them sit on the show with you and kind of do a crossfire type thing?
So that could be in the works. I had a conversation again with my team, because shout out to Cop and Cutie and Psalmist.
Do you have a team?
They're not my mods; they're my team. We because they're not just modding. We sit and we bounce stuff off of each other. When the other week, when I had the professor that came on and talked about people still being enslaved into the 20th century, when I mentioned that idea to them, and then one of them, Psalmist, was the first person to try to reach out and actually made contact with her, and then that facilitated me talking to her or whatever. So we worked together to do some things. And we're looking at changing it a little bit, because we have fun in there all the time. But I do want to get to where maybe one day out of the week is going to be some type of serious conversation.
And then how do you do that? You have so many people in different cities. How do you do that? Meaning this, is it topical, or is it political, or is it social, or is it health? Like, how are you going to do that? What's your direction? Are you going to go for a lane, or are you going to do what's of interest to you? And
it's probably something that's of interest to me that catches my attention. For example, I'll give you an example, and I want to track these people down, and I just have been busy the last few weeks with stuff going on and haven't. But I saw a news article. There is a small town in Tennessee, where very small. It's a blue town in a red county, large percentage of black people in this town. And up until 2016, they uncovered the fact that the people running the town had been skimming money and had been corrupt for 20 years and getting away with it. So they finally got rid of those people, elected new officials. So now you have this town that has a large percentage of black people there, that votes Dem, that has black leaders in office. And Ford is about to build a plant nearby to produce batteries for electric vehicles. So that's going to bring a ton of money to that town and benefits to that town as well as the county. Well, the state of Tennessee, I want to say the comptroller, the AG or whatever, is telling the town either to basically give up their elected officials and just be run by the county. So it's just it's coincidental, it seems. All those years when it was run by these corrupt officials, nobody from the state interfered. But now, with this plant coming where it could be millions of dollars and money coming into that community, they're saying, well, they're
Mhm.
not experienced enough to run that town and be financially responsible. So they need to just basically dissolve their charter and just become part of the county. So in my
You
head,
mean
at
like the
some point
Atlanta?
in
It's kind
time,
of like the Atlanta airport.
yeah. So what I want to do, that's an example of something that caught my attention. And when things settle down, because you and I have talked, there's a billion things going on off screen here. Once things settle down, I want to try to track down the mayor or the assistant mayor of that town and bring them on the show to discuss it. That's a good hour of talking about the past corruption and the attack that they're under right now. So it's more just a topical something that catches my attention slash something people might not have known or seen or heard about that would be interesting to bring to the audience. That makes sense.
That's
So,
fantastic. So there's a black administration that's
yep,
uh becoming that's becoming and stable. I guess supporters of the minority want so they can now resource.
yeah. So they that's the way it comes across. So and we'll see what happens to that. It's just crazy. It is just crazy. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We shall see.
I think that's fascinating. I think it's fascinating because no, for no other reason than that happens so often, and we don't see that, and we see it in major cities. But I don't know if anybody ever actually um challenges that. I mean, here they challenge it, of course. I think that's um par for the course in a lot of larger black areas or areas that have larger
Right.
black populations that are major cities. I think a lot of people um try and take control of when they see the money. When you see the dollar signs, you want control.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that, I think that happens all the time. I think it happens here. I don't know that you're behind it, but I would blame you just because I blame you for everything. But it's super interesting. It's just as Heidi was saying, there are these amazing, hey heavens girl, there are amazing disparities in a lot of cities that are larger cities, urban cities, like where you see one side of the city that has affluence and has resources and is built up, and then you see another side of the city that's completely falling apart. We went to Knoxville, Tennessee, and it's amazing. You drive kind of up into the hills of the city that overlook the city, and there and on the other side, it's not great. But then when you drive down through the city by the river, there's these amazing, opulent, and cool homes down that river. And then, that's where you find chains of, that's where you find the Whole Foods. That's where you find the Smoothie King. That's where you find the cool shops. So it's like that in a lot of cities. And then when you have smaller cities like that, where people are trying to take advantage of, prosperity especially when there's already been corruption.
Yeah.
They already stole their money. Now they want to come back and steal the new money. It's robbing a bank twice. Lightning striking
It's
twice.
just I don't know. That's how government officials do. It's nerve wracking. But now
We're the product.
speaking of what you were saying about having like a crossfire type thing, that would be interesting if I could that would be like some next level stuff. Bring the administrator on and have them on the show at the same time as like the AG or whoever it is at state level who's pushing this, who insists, oh, well, it's not a racial thing. It's just that they're inexperienced at running the town and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know what you're trying to do.
That's something I always imagined doing. I always wanted to do that on like a WAOK, like find an alternative talk station and have conversation between two different people that explain allow them to try why the state or the government officials in this area think that they could run the airport better than you know Atlanta and the airport commission does. I'd like people who are on either side of the critical race theory conversation and have a conversation about what they really know about critical race, how it actually works, and where it's actually being taught that's a threat to them. Because it's such a huge, like it's a hot button right now. And it seems that both sides don't know what race theory is and that they've just created a political discussion about some grasp of. And it's a problem. Like, yeah. I mean, basically it's just, I don't know anybody I know of and said white people bad, black people why. Maybe you do.
I got nothing. It's just, I always just say people are stupid, but I'm sure it's more complex than that. I'm sure it's just, I don't know. It's a very weird environment that we're in right now. Think about it. I mean, politics has now infiltrated everyday life even more than it used to, right? It's just amazing to me. Are you moving, Jason? Is Jason moving? No, Jason is frozen again. I was like, wait a minute. Jason must be frozen. Do y'all see Jason is frozen? Because Jason was like, I was like, am I really shocking him? We got to do CPR on Jason again. He's frozen again. Freezing. Okay. And he's out. I was like, he must be frozen. He's like, Jason, if you need help, blink 3 times. Heidi, what are you doing to him? Somebody send help to Jason's place. All right, here's what we're going to do, y'all. I got a butter knife, some duct tape, and we're going to take an extension cord and we're going to strip off the end and listen, Miss J, I ain't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. Oh, so, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Staten has been taken over by me. Heidi is Heidi. I'm blaming Heidi. Bloomin' Heidi. It's bloomin' Heidi's fault. That's not a knife. This is a knife. Good job, bloomin' Heidi. So let's see. What were we? Okay, so anyway. Heaven's Girl. Hi, Heaven's Girl. Yes, there are some Einstein experiments. Yes, I can see that, bloomin' Heidi. So I can see the text messages, but what I see is myself on screen by myself and the chat. That's what I see on screen. So anyway, just me and y'all waiting for Jason to come back. But in the meantime, I mean, yeah, people are stupid. We have gotten to a point where for many people, politics has become part of their everyday life. And I'm talking mostly about conservative leaning people. I mean, it's just everything has to do with politics. I mean, you can get a F Joe Biden Christmas ornament because that's all that it's nuts. There he is.
Restream is ridiculous. It's still like literally you were still on even though I wasn't there, which is the power of cloud streaming. Instead of having an OBS or StreamGuard on your computer, I can completely log off, reboot my side, and it'll all come back as a
Yep.
lesson to myself.
Yep.
Hey, Heavens Girl, thanks for welcoming me back. It's good to be back.
Man, they were talking all kinds of trash about you while you were gone, man.
Oh yeah? Anybody? Okay, I tell you what. If you out there talking trash, what you need to do is you need to go ahead, just meet me over here. Meet me in let's pick a part. Like, meet me on a belt line. You meet me over there at the intersection of Lake and the Beltline, right there by Studioplex. We'll see you right there.
But wait, Jason.
So Heidi said you blamed her, huh?
It was Heidi. Heidi was the bully. You really want to fight her?
No, that's called abuse. You'll go to jail.
I'm just saying. I heard she's got a mean right hook too. So
yeah. No. You don't fight women, Hal. Don't fight women. Don't go up in the stage in the middle of somebody accepting an award. Don't smack people at award shows. Don't let everybody have a conversation about your interpersonal relationships.
Sorry to interrupt, and I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce is the greatest of all time.
Going off the ledge, right there. Yet everybody still bought his tennis shoes.
Because Wu-Tang is for the children.
Yeah, but it was nobody. Nobody else was up there, right, when he did the Wu-Tang.
No. It wasn't. Yeah, ODB. He didn't crash anybody.
Yeah, he didn't crash anybody. He just, he just made a statement, and there's nothing wrong with that. It was fantastic. Wu-Tang is for the children. Old Dirty Bastard is one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time.
I'm the one man army son. I never been tooken out. I keep MCs looking out. I drop science like Cosby dropping babies. Enough to make a ninja go crazy. Oh my!
He's the best dude. Nobody sounded or will ever sound like him. And nobody is that wild. That dude, when he was, when he was in his prime, was a wild guy, man.
Well, he say I'm the old dirty bastard because there's no father to my style.
There isn't.
I could play Brooklyn's, and somebody made a point about Brooklyn Zoo. Like, you have the clean and dirty versions of songs, and a lot of times, and I'm talking about more our time of hip hop or whatever, because these days even the dirty versions the clean versions are so suggestive you might as well play. But there are some songs that when you play the clean version, it just doesn't have the same impact. And Brooklyn Zoo, you almost have to play the dirty version to get the full ODB impact.
I don't know, because that beat is so hard, and his delivery is ridiculous. There's certain MCs that are instruments. Nas is an instrument. Dirty is like an instrument.
Who produced that Brooklyn Zoo beat? RZA?
That's an interesting question. Somebody asked me that a couple years ago, and I can't remember if it was RZA or if it was, what's his name? Let me see. It's hilarious because and we're talking about Brooklyn Zoo, not Baby I Like It Raw.
Brooklyn Zoo. Because Brooklyn Zoo, for those of you who like useless trivia, Brooklyn Zoo is one. Well, would you consider Brooklyn Zoo one of the rare songs that doesn't really have a chorus? I mean, he gets to the end and he says, "Shame on you when you step through to the old dirty bastard Brooklyn Zoo." He says it repeatedly, but does that really count as the chorus? Because he goes through, he does one verse, he does that, and that's the end of the song.
I'm gonna tell you who got. Hold on. O's over here. Stand by.
Oh, we go into the vinyl. Kind of like Microphone Fiend. Microphone Fiend has one verse.
So Lord Digger did the instrumental,
Mm.
and it actually credits. It says produced by Old Dirty Bastard for Wu-Tang Production. Then it says produced by Lord Digger and Witch Doctor for Blues Brothers Productions.
Ah.
And there's your trivia. Go to the vinyl and look at the actual credits.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are not paying attention to the enormous amount of vinyl behind Jason Staten, it's incredible.
There's guys who retain more, but I can tell you this: I wanted to have a digging conversation with myself and a couple DJs, and you were going to be part of that conversation because. For me, I'm always listening for music, and I Shazam DJs. I look over DJ shoulders. I go to record stores, and I try not to buy records and any more vinyl because I got rid of so much vinyl. I can't stop myself. Like when I went and got the Amerigo Gazaway vinyl, the Yassine Gay. I literally, I was like, I didn't, I was like, where am I going to put it? You know, I mean, at some point in time, the sheer physical nature of vinyl makes it prohibitive. Do you know what I mean? Like you only have so much space, and you have, you really got to take care of it. I still have some space for records to go here. There's a lot of stuff that is missing thanks to the people who were warehousing my collection for a while. So I'll buy back bits and pieces. The sad thing is that like I got OC Times Up for free and had double copies. I have to buy those. And my original copy was actually a test pressing. Those are worth about $60 on the internet right now. So for me to get it back and put it back in my collection, it's going to cost me a nice, little chunk of change.
Ooh,
that's
just,
this is it's big money. You could end up spending $1,000 replacing 40 or 50 records.
That's nuts. And it's a trip because, of course, as things have changed and the different formats became more popular with the records, it's like records went out and now they're bringing records back, but they're way more expensive. They're still kind of like a novelty. And people are buying it now because it's a novelty. Now we'll see if it keeps going to the point of where the price comes down because it's not a novelty, or if the price doesn't come down just because, well, people are willing to pay that much. But my son, I forget where he went somewhere. He decided he wanted to start buying records. So he bought what, it was an MC Hammer record. I can't think of which one it is. And then I was driving him to school. It was either to school or from school because he goes to Georgia Southern. So, of course, driving down to Statesboro, you got a good 3.5, 4 hours to just chill. And I would pick a classic hip hop album and be like, all right, you're just going to have to listen. You're just going to have to listen to this. And I played for him Common's album, Resurrection, which to me is one of the best hip hop albums, start to finish. It ranks up there, one of the best. And he was just like, so he went out and bought a copy on vinyl so that he'd have it. So
here's the thing, about NFTs. Vinyl has two different values. I think it's the aesthetic of just somebody having a shelf full of records. Like, look at my vinyl collection. It's like, dude, you have a copy of like a completely useless JJ Fad single that nobody ever played. Then, there is the fact that, there's album cuts that aren't on certain pressings. Like there are actually like versions of the Chronic album that have versions of songs, and then other versions that don't have versions of songs. And I have, I'll have maybe both of those in a couple instances. There's 12 inches that never came out. commercially. And then there's versions of 12 inches that had different mixes on them. So there's different things. I think that as anything gets more rare, it has an inherent increase in value. I think that looking at vinyl as like an across the board valuable thing, I'm not sure, because like, my Nirvana original is now, I don't, it's not that it's less valuable. It's now it has a companion that is not original, that was pressed up within the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the same album was repressed. And if it gets remastered or it sounds better or there's something else on there that was like on the CD that didn't make it to the album, um, then the value of having that particular piece changes.
Right.
House music is a thing where me and Rick Wilhite were discussing this. Like, cats only could press up like 1,000 records at a time, so there are only so many copies of Marshall Jefferson, Move Your Body. There's only so many copies of that, of the original, out there, and then they're repressings, and they sound different. And there's an aesthetic of there's a thing of like, I got the original. I was there during that era. I was able to walk into a Joy's Music Room or a Buy Right Records or another record store, and I was able to buy that for $4.99 with the sticker on it and everything. I have that, and I exist in that era, and that's kind of a badge of honor. Versus, I went and I bought the test pressings came out, and I got one. I still have it on vinyl, but I got the repressing. I think it's a more complicated discussion than across the board vinyl. I think it's really cool that some of us appreciate vinyl. I don't think everybody does, and I think we appreciate it for different reasons. For instance, I think a kid that is out shopping for records, what I mean, right now, sometimes they don't appreciate what's on the record. They just appreciate having the record. Um, the rarer something gets, the more value it gets. It's absolutely right, my man. It's absolutely right. Whereas, um, the actual IP, what's on the record, now we can get that digitally. And I'm going to be honest with you, like, several DJs will tell you, I don't want to ever carry a big crate of records around to a party again. And nobody's ever dropped a record. I've dropped records before and seen pieces of vinyl that were a limited edition that came from the record label shatter into 10 or 12 pieces, and then had to really, really work to get it back. I've chipped vinyl and had to put the super glue on it to keep it from chipping further. But if I got multiple copies of a library and I have the record on that library, that's valuable to me, just having a sound. Like, I can appreciate just having a sound. And what I can do with that sound is far different now than it was 20 years ago. I can walk in with a hard drive and I can take a CDJ or these reloops and I can loop part of the record, and I can mix that loop with another record, or I can take that and literally, like if we're talking about Brooklyn Zoo, I can literally make, Brooklyn Zoo, shame on you when you came through, bastard, Brooklyn. I can literally play it, and I can literally spread it out across records. But how many people are doing that? And then how many people are good at it? And there's some people who are really good and they can turn around and they can play the drums and they can hit a sample and da. But is it funky? Is it dope? There's people who are way better scratchers than I am. Are they on beat? Do people want to hear that at a party? DJ Mars made one of the best points for DJs, which is cuts don't rock parties. Selections rock parties, which is why I heard Red Alert play. I recorded him, I don't know how many times, and I paid people to record him how many times. And we couldn't stream Red Alert from New York in Michigan, and people couldn't stream The Wizard in Michigan and LA. And I couldn't listen to K-Day, while I was on the highway, in LA. And now I can do that. Now I can go back and I can listen to DJs. I can listen to stuff from Club Paradise. I can listen to Paradiso in Amsterdam. I can listen to, The Tunnel. if somebody recorded it and it was 15, 20, 30 years ago and I can listen to it back. And digital media has done that for us. And I can't hate on digital media. I don't have a copy of Can the Singles, but I have all of the stuff that was curated and looked at as their singles inside of a download that I got off Amazon. And it sounds great. So the music is what's important for me. Some of the vinyl stuff I have as Todd Jones put it, I have a sentimental connection to it.
Yeah.
And nothing feels like spinning vinyl. It's a precarious way of DJing. The needles will jump. You can be too heavy handed. The physical rotation of the record and bringing it back and positioning it different places challenges you in ways that a CDJ doesn't. A CDJ is a completely digital representation and manipulation of sound, whereas these, you can do that. I can take this and put it on the record, and the computer sees it and understands that when it's pointing this way and it moves this way, it's moving forward. If it goes backwards, it's moving backwards, and I can cut it with it, and there's not a lot of latency. And it's sitting on a piece of vinyl.
Explain what latency is.
Latency in digital terms is the amount of time between a specific event and the physical manifestation that's what's supposed to happen as a result of the event. Actually turning lights on in a room, when you hit the switch, the milliseconds in between when you hit the switch and the actual light comes on would be latency. Just in some terms, it's the delay between something being triggered to happen and happening. So when you grab a record and pull it back, there are milliseconds sometimes, and sometimes not, between when you grab the record and the record actually stops. And although it's extremely small, sometimes imperceivable, the physical connection between you and the record are much different than when there's an actual physical needle hitting the record and you move the record around that physical needle. It's just, it's partially psychological. A great engineer that I worked with for years, who's a chief engineer of a group of stations here in Atlanta, Vic Jester always said that analog is a special effect. You know what I mean? Like it's an effect, and then also it's what's going on in your head. Like people are like, I love vinyl. I was like, you love vinyl, but do you love when the record skips when you're playing it? Do you love when you get to a certain part of the record where the DJ has been going back and forth for years? Like if I pull out my Martin Disco records, there's parts of that record that me and Crazy Cats would just work out in the basement on, and it would go at the beginning of the record. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it has a cue burn right there, and then the record starts off. Like, do you what is the part of vinyl that you like? Something, yeah, there is a sound difference depending on what sound you're using, and there is something to be said for going to a record store and physically digging through records and flipping through them to find something. And then if you find something that just looks cool listening to it, or taking the gamble on buying it to see if it really is something that you want to have. But, now look at where we're at. Like I can go take my phone and go listen to another DJ and be like, that's a dope record, Shazam. And there's some people that are like, you're going to parties and Shazamming people. Like, don't be so erudite. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where does our music go if none of us ever buy it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if we don't share music and people don't buy music or even download music or even stream music later on, then what are we doing it for? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where does the artist know? It's hard. It's hard to sit here and talk, even though me and you enjoy having long conversations with you. It's hard to sit here and talk when I'm watching a little eyeball that says 14 on it right now, and there's only 14 people listening. And then I psychologically think back to the time, like I'll go through any number of people's Twitch channels and Instagrams and see people talking about, a bump on their nose and how they're going to get rid of it. Or, what I'm saying, talking about, oh yeah, I'm drinking this coffee. Oh yeah, I got this cup at so-and-so place. Like, inherently it feels like to you the human being there's a devaluation the same way aesthetically people look at like that girl's built differently and a girl looks at her and says that I'm maybe they think they're not as cute as her or they think I can never wear that or they what I'm saying like we measure ourselves off of arbitrary things that we put together ourselves. We just figure it out and we just make decisions on what's valuable and what's not valuable. So I don't really understand or believe in not looking over DJ's shoulders. I don't believe in not Shazamming. When I first moved to Atlanta, we were doing Hot 107, Hot 97.5 at the time, and I was a music coordinator. I used to carry a pad with me. This is a true story. When I DJ'd and I did street promotions and I worked in the studio, I always had a pad on me. And dudes used to disrespect me for having a pad on me. But when I was in the studio and a dude had an SPX 90 and he had certain settings, blah 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 blah, I'd write that shit down. Like, oh, okay, he's using an SPX and he's using this setting and he set it for this and that's how he got this effect on that vocal or that snare. When I went to a party, there's a dude who used to DJ here and I was at the party watching him, and this is up in Buckhead when Buckhead was actually accessible, and they had clubs all over like that little
Mm-hmm.
little 5 block area.
I know you're
I
talking about.
was I was listening to him spin, and I was writing down a couple records that he played. Now here's the thing, you know, what are you playing those records for? You're playing them for the people's enjoyment, but you're also playing them in hopes, I hope, in hopes that whatever artist that you appreciate who put all the money and time into making that record will actually be able to sell records and you're actually supporting them. I mean, I got in an argument with a DJ one time on air personality that told me, they're paying me to talk to the people. And I was like, you know, if the program director is following what the national program director's edict is, which is one idea per break, they're just paying you as a voice to break up the records. And if you aren't has an air personality, you get sent out to do remotes and people call all the time. If you don't believe that part of your job is to listen to what people are doing and find and encourage new talent, then that's like against, to me, the whole evolution of radio, especially black radio. Like we supposed to, that's a method for finding and breaking new music. And you're not dope if you ain't breaking the music. You're never gonna be Frankie Crocker if you think you're just there to run your mouth. Frankie Crocker put us on to so much music. I learned so much just listening to Jeff Mills for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? When I go listen to Kai Alce or Kimmit, best believe I'm learning about music when I listen to them. When I have a conversation with you, there's stuff I forgot about that I have to revisit and I have to go by. So there's a value in the human that you're listening to and talking to, and then there's a value in their curation ability.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's a value in going to the record store and digging through records and finding them. It's just that at some point in time, it's like how many records you're gonna bring home that you'll never play again. Like how many times are you gonna go buy a record just to see what it is, and it ends up being a boat anchor versus something you absolutely know what you want, which is the dope thing about YouTube. I don't know if you do this, but when I go buy records, sometimes I look them up in Google and YouTube them, and then I put them in YouTube and I put my headphones on and I'm sitting there with my phone going, that's whack. That doesn't sound dope. That's, looking at the reviews and looking for different things, and then I'll buy the record. So, we have so many powerful tools as, listeners now that I don't know that we actually use.
I mean, they've talked about it before that with the advent of digital streaming and whatnot, you don't have to buy the whole record anymore. You can just buy the songs that you like and download them if you buy them, as opposed to, say, buying an Apple Music or Spotify or jacking them off of YouTube, which I'm sure everybody has done at some point. We did that. Didn't have to when Napster was out, but that's another story. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I'll jack them off wherever I can get them from. I mean, I'll steal your music. If you're listening right now, I will steal your shit and I'll play your shit. I will steal your shit, play your shit, sample your shit, and manipulate your shit after the fact. I will literally buy your record, and if it's dope and it's a certain, like, let's say it's a a tech house record or like drum and bass record, and it's different and it's dope, I will slow your shit down to a speed where I want to play it at, and I will play it at that speed. And I've done that before, and I've had a dude really like try and tell me, well, it wasn't meant to be played at that speed. I was like, so?
So what?
You know what I'm saying? You think people used to go to DJ Screw's house and tell him, you know, don't play my shit, you know, slow like that.
Of
My
course
shit is
they
hot
did.
at the speed.
Sure, you know they did. Yeah.
And DJ Screw was like, the fuck out of my house. You see that line of cars outside my house picking up mixtapes, motherfucker?
DJ.
Sorry, excuse my French. I talk like that sometimes. Sorry, I talk like that all the time.
How dare you? So offensive.
I'm offensive. I'm an offensive person. Have you ever seen me in your chat on your stream?
On occasion, yes.
I'm incredibly offensive. There's somebody who's a great person, an amazing person that hates my guts because I am that guy. I will literally crack on you. And especially if you're on my stream and you're talking while I'm DJing, or you're trying to engage me in a conversation. Hey, Jason, what are you doing? I'm combining this record with that record right now.
Which I don't know why they dislike you, because we all be busting on each other anyway. When I am on my own show, people coming into my chat and like lobbing eggs and tomatoes at me in jest. So it's all good natured, good fun.
But you've got Tide. You've got Twitch Tide. And Twitch Tide gets the stains out.
Twitch Tide.
I personally prefer the ancient Chinese secret.
Huh?
That was, like, I wonder.
You can't say that without the M part.
I wonder if somebody, basically that company was like, do you realize how racist this is? Like years later, I wonder if anybody ever brought it in and said like, we owe people an apology for this.
Nah, because it was back then. It was. And now, or unless they knew what they were doing because they were trying to appeal to Chinese audience, I don't know. But
if they were trying to appeal to a Chinese audience, shouldn't it have been in Mandarin?
Good point. But then again, it's tongue-in-cheek humor anyway. She was saying, I'm not going to tell you what my secret is ancient Chinese secret. And then the lady revealed that it was the detergent. It's like, oh. You were lying. So you might be able to slide that one by.
I think that everything that I honestly feel that maybe we're a little oversensitive. I'm totally not against it bringing everything back. I want to see Blazing Saddles too.
It's true.
I literally want to see. I literally am 100% down for just more ridiculousness.
Where are the white women at?
You think Mitch McConnell laughed at that movie, or I mean, he seems pretty humorous. He seems pretty humorless.
They all did.
I wonder if you went over and sometimes don't you want to just go over Mitch McConnell's house and sit down and see what he watches for, like if he ever laughs or smiles? Like,
well, I mean, he's old. Smile? He probably guffaws. He doesn't laugh.
He guffaws.
He probably sounds like Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets.
Our entire Senate is made up of those dudes. Literally, all those puppets. There were going to be more of those puppets in the audience. Oh, there she is, DJ Classics.
Classics. I was talking
Classics.
About her ears are burning.
Yeah, you say Classics, and if she's not baking, she shows up.
Look, she shows up even when she's baking. She'll be tuning in here and sliding another pan of.
I'm still waiting for the DJ Classics. You know me, I already gave you a show this show. Here's a show for Classics. I have not seen anybody baking on Twitch.
They're out there. You got to go to Mishmi. She cooks, but I don't know if she bakes.
She wouldn't be Classics. Classics.
Oh, it's got to be Classics.
Classics.
Baking.
Everybody loves Classics baking. We know her food is good. We don't know these other Twitch people. Their food could be fake good. In fact, they could be doing it like a talk show does it, meaning you put it in the oven and then you say, and we'll be right back. And then really it's like something that's from like a food prep company, and they pull it out and they show it to us.
But Classics, we could see her mixing the ingredients and putting it in the bowl. Ooh. And we could call it Insights into Petty Crocker, the crack dealer. We get to see
Why
the
did you do
being
that? Why
made.
did you have to do that when you could just call it classic cooking?
No, no. Petty Crocker, the crack dealer, because her stuff is like.
Petty
Just saying.
Crocker.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. But that would be cool. You know what? All right. See, now I'm gonna have to ask her about that. Why we haven't had a show where she?
Sorry, wait a minute. Stop. Does your Martin Luther King picture in the background have a do-rag on it?
Yep.
Okay.
Patron saint of the do-rag brothers, Martin
going-
Luther the King.
You're going to hell. On a do-rag.
Going to hell on a do-rag. I mean,
And that noise was phantasmical.
what this?
The fact that I said you're going to hell on a do-rag and it said don.
Blue suede shoes, classic baking secrets, huh? Perfect timing.
There we go. DJ Storm 422 is driving. I mean, is that different? Like, doesn't he have a driver's license? Isn't he pretty much an adult? DJ Storm 422, aka DJ Classic's son.
I think they're coming this way, actually.
Coming which way? To Atlanta?
Yep.
Listen, didn't we tell you people that Atlanta was full? No more room here. No more room.
Wait a minute. I'm being challenged to spell. What was that word? What word you used to describe the springy noise?
Phantasmical?
Phantasmical. All right, I'm gonna spell it with a PH.
He's like, all right, I'm going for the PH spelling. I'm going right for the PH.
The Phantasm.
That movie's scary. I don't know if anybody here has seen Phantasm, but has I invented another show? By the way, guys, another show that I was going to invent that Hal would know about that somebody will eventually steal, like somebody tried to steal my playlist idea, is I was going to watch movies and get the actual directors. You know what? No cookies for me. I talk about a show and I give you credit for being a great cook and that everybody wants to cook, and then you say no cookies
for Jason. Matter of fact,
this is what happens to me all the time.
I'm gonna go meet up with her and get the cookies that she intended for Jason, and then I'm gonna eat them on the show.
There were no cookies intended for me. I haven't heard from Classics in weeks, other than when I tune into her show. She just crossed the Georgia line, everybody.
Well, y'all set up a time and y'all talk. That's what you need to do.
That's my homie.
Reach out and touch somebody.
That sounds real weird. That sounds like you. Do you order pizza from the pizza parlor?
Did you just call it a pizza parlor?
Yeah, I've seen. There's a pizza joint that you call. Apparently, this is according to the people who believe in the conspiracy theory. You call this pizza place. It's actually a real pizza place that has real good pizza. You call this pizza place, and apparently they have kids and they send them out to you.
Pizzagate.
It's all part of the
Pizzagate.
It's all part of Pizzagate, aka what do they call those people? There's a dude who creates all the theories.
Q.
QAnon people.
Yeah, the Clintons were supposed to be tied up in this. In the Pizzagate.
I don't know. There's not enough money for the Clintons to be involved in something that's stupid.
And if I remember correctly, somebody showed up at this pizza place armed.
Heidi's brother lived near there, and he said it was pretty good pizza, and it's a real pizza place, and they suffer because of the QAnon conspiracies, which is kind of sad that they've actually destroyed a business, or they contaminated a business because of the nonsense.
But see, that's just it. The shame that it is actually affected by that because people with common sense don't know better.
Classic said she just lost an entire minute off her life because of Twitch commercials. Honestly, like the commercials that they have on Twitch and the whole scenario with the commercials and stuff like that, I know it makes people money. It just, it's better than having commercials in the middle of the stream, which I've heard may or may not be something that people can activate. Like if me and Hal are talking and it just like said, and they'll be right back, and arbitrarily injected a commercial into the stream, forcing people to watch the 15-second or 30-second insert commercial before coming back to us, that would be awful. That would be awful. If that's happening, Classics, please let me know, because that means that I have something set up incorrectly. And because I don't have a viewership, like I don't have a Hal viewership, I don't have a classic viewership, I don't have an LV viewership, so I'm never gonna make any money off of their commercials. So I might as well just cut them off. Yep, I'm cutting them off. I'll figure out how to turn it off classics because
Usually
I'm
you
not
just
getting
get them
paid
at the
off of it.
beginning. Usually, I think
I thought,
like you
yeah,
have
that's what
to
I
have
thought.
something play at the beginning, but then I've never had something play in the middle. So yeah,
Yeah,
check your settings. It
yeah,
usually,
I'm gonna have to check my settings.
because
I've
I've
been
learned like when you log into somebody's channel, I've learned, because usually when I pop in, it's like I'll jump in the chat and immediately say hello. But I learned a long time ago that like if I clicked on 15 minutes of fire, you're gonna pop up and you're gonna pop up for a split second and then immediately the commercial is gonna start. So if I type and say hello, by the time I come back, you might have either acknowledged me and you're wondering why I'm not replying, or people are talking to you or whatever, and you miss it because you got to watch the commercials.
Look here,
So
dude. 15 minutes of fire. First of all, I have a lot of work to do because initially it was supposed to evolve a lot more in a lot of different ways. The reason there are drum machines sitting here is because the initial concept of 15 minutes of fire um, is that I'm supposed to be remixing songs fast enough so that I get one song a minute in, which would honestly be less performance than pre-preparation. It would be like me playing a mix. And then that consumed a lot of time. As you know, I went to work after the pandemic. I worked on Ozark Fixtures with Rallo. Sounds like Rallo, great DJ. Does something at the basement once a month. Always is spinning at Banshee, which is a great spot over in East Atlanta. I hate to use my hands to talk because guess what I look like anyway.
I always use my hands.
But that was the idea. And then I started pre-recording the mixes and doing some work with them. If you remember, before people started using clips, I started editing the stuff together and throwing the movie clips over it. But that took a lot of time.
Show
So it
prep.
just, yeah, it was a lot of show prep. So it just didn't make any sense. I got away from it. I actually built a machine, modified some stuff, and put a piece of software on it so that I could actually sync up video and play video by hitting other buttons
Mm-hmm.
and feed it in on an NDI channel. But and I'll get back to that, I promise. But I Twitch, in a lot of ways, a lot of things about Twitch, you guys are masters at it. Classics is a Twitch goddess. Me, I don't know Twitch kung fu. I'm like the dude. I'm a white. What is it? What's the starting belt when you're in jujitsu and kung fu? A white belt.
White, you're a white belt.
I'm a white no
That's
stripe
what
belt.
comes with it. That's what comes with the gi. The white belt comes
Yeah,
with it.
I literally got the standard. You know what I'm saying? I just bought my kung fu gi, and
Psalmist.
I'm not even. What's up, Psalmist?
It's
I
fresh out the pack. It's still got the wrinkle in it.
Yeah, yeah. It still smells like whatever it got shipped over here with. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at
It's
with it.
fresh.
Like classics is like change your settings. I'm like, yeah. About
Okay.
no, I'm like yeah, about the whole change your settings thing.
About that.
About that whole change your settings thing.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, about that.
About that.
I am not Amani.
Oh,
Amani is ridiculous with his Twitch settings. So, how, in terms of you, I mean, where do you want to go with Twitch? Like, what do you want it to do for you? Because it's changing rapidly. I personally kind of sometimes feel like I missed the boat. Like, there was a huge amount of momentum at the beginning of the end of the pandemic and kind of like the Dayton time range. I guess maybe like maybe March of 2021. There's huge acceleration and momentum for a lot of people, and then it started to taper off a little bit. Is that not true?
I think to some extent, yes. I think because here's my observations. There are some DJs who have managed to maintain their number of viewership. Because one thing, and I talked to Psalmist and Cop and Cutie, that's my team. We talk about this sometimes.
You ever call them like Cop and Psalmist or Psalmist Q?
No, but I forget. There was something I called them and like put their names together. But usually I'll come up with other ways to murder and butcher their names. Once outside opened up and people started to do more things outside, you saw that some numbers, like even amongst our community, you saw some numbers come down some whether during the day or in the evenings or whatever, because people aren't at home or they're doing other things. So
Sure.
it has slowed down some, but you still see some people who are able to keep some momentum going. Now, for me, and other people, streamers and DJs that might be here lurking, whatever, it's kind of funny because we talk a lot about followers, and I think what ends up happening is you get random people who come through on during a show here or there. They come in on a raid and they want to be able to talk, so they hit the follow button and they follow you, but then they never really come back. So
They're really not following you.
they're following you, but they're not really coming to the show. And because like of the people, even in our family, we got some people with thousands
Of
of
jobs.
followers, of jobs, thousands of followers, but their viewer number is still consistent. And when you look at it, it's still the same people that say. It's kind of like when I grew up in a small church and you might have 100 people there at church, but anytime they needed money, it was the same 20, 25 people that donated. Um, it's it's like that on here. So in terms of what I want to do in the future, um, find a way to get a little bit more engagement from the people who are following me. But even if that doesn't happen, I think for me, like I said earlier, adding more topic driven shows or more serious to the Foolishment, and
Yeah.
also to start putting spreading out on different platforms. Like I in the future works is to get the Hal Show YouTube channel going, and then taking shows like if this was reversed and you're on my show, which you're gonna be on next week, and we're talking and we're interviewing, and then getting the Hal Show channel going to where okay now Hal and Jason were on for 75 minutes. Take that, chop it up, and now I got 10, 9, 8 minute pieces that I can upload to YouTube whenever I want to, or it might be just one small clip, or it might be the whole interview. So
Yeah.
I think that
I'm using the YouTube now as a way to archive these because they disappear eventually off Twitch, and I stopped playing music in these because if you play music, they get flagged on Instagram and on Facebook. So I've eliminated that in favor of actually having these conversations be non-disposable and being something that could be long term.
whatchamacallit, StreamYard records everything. And what I do is kind of funny because they allow you 50 hours of storage. So, and there have been mornings where I got ready to go live. I hit the go live button and it says you're out of space. So I'm having to click, click, click and do stuff so that I can create space to go live. But what I'll do is for the really good shows, like if I've got some people on, I'll download them and keep them. If it's something I was doing on the show by myself and something was really funny, I may keep it. But usually the shows where it's just me, I'll just delete those in favor. So I've got a ton of shows where interviews, goofy stuff that we were doing. Uh, Classics was on with Droopy, and we were goofing off with Classics playing this or that, which is one of my most classic snippets, because Classics was talking about fruity pebbles, even though nobody calls it fruity pebbles. So yeah, that's the plan, just to start looking at other platforms. I really need to get my merchandise store up and running, but it just keeps getting put on the back burner because of other things. So that needs to happen at some point too. Merchandise and expansion.
Do it. Why do I have no manners? I'd like a full explanation of that. DJ Classics. Are you agreeing that I don't have any manners, Hal?
I didn't say that.
That was Classics that said that. She says I have no
Ooh.
manners. None.
Ooh. Oh, what's also funny is Classics is talking about why Storm is driving. Storm is driving so he can control the music.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So in other words, it doesn't matter how bad he has to go to the bathroom, how bad he'd like to stop for a snack. He is not relinquishing control of the car. That way he can continue to control the mechanism. Your mom's a good DJ though. Let her DJ.
Yes, Storm. Don't make me come over there.
You can't. He's a moving target, Hal. He's on the freeway. You'll This isn't Freaknik circa 1988 98. You can't just walk on the freeway.
Listen, I know where they're going. I know that young man is going to be in school down here. So at some
Where's he going?
the house. So
N-
I know where he
Neither
gonna be
you nor I
in
went
school.
there.
Huh?
Neither you nor I went there.
I know, but I mean, he gonna need some. I'm not. Listen, I'm not. He's part of the familial, so there's gonna be a point where I got to go over there and take him a care package or something. So I'll just remember him disrespecting classics right now and not letting her control the radio, and it'll be 6 months from now, and I'm gonna go over there with a care package, and when he opens the door, I'm gonna kick him in the shin.
You're gonna actually use violence.
I
Violence is not
mean,
the way.
no, see, violence would be a punch. Kicking in the shin is like useless, meaningless, but it gets the point across.
Causes physical harm.
I'm gonna say, get off my lawn, because kicking the shin.
Because you're 70. That's why.
I'm a curmudgeon. I love
Because
that
you're a
word.
curmudgeon. That's why.
I'm a
It's good to have
curmudgeon.
classics in town. I'm glad your son's coming down. Is he just
Yes.
visiting right now, or is he actually like starting school, like starting to work and then jumping into school? Like, what's the whole plan here? Because it's April. School's about to be over.
I think it's just a visit.
Just a visit.
I think it's just a visit.
Be careful. Watch your back, young man. Still the hood over there. West End can still be dangerous to a young buck
They
like
kind of
yourself.
trying to gentrify West End, though.
Oh no, they're not trying. They're going to
There's
take
some
over.
nice. I have a
There are
client
literally
over there.
people. There are literally people walking around with their flip flops and their dog down the street, not paying attention to anything, talking on their cell phone, using the word like, and I feel like way too much. I feel like like my neighbor doesn't really like me or something.
Like.
For your edification, ma'am, it's 9 o'clock at night. It's dark, and you could just disappear out here. So pay attention. Or you could get hit by a car. That's a major street right there. Act like you know what you're doing.
Oh, anyway,
Classics. You could at least give me one cookie, by the way. And actually, Hal, I'm going to try some of those things. We'll have to talk to him. I don't want to derail anything you're doing, but definitely like that. My boy that produces some political joints.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did talk to him about the debate thing. The other thing I talked to him about was I talked to a guy as I'm switching up gyms. This dude, I talked to him about basically doing some online interviews and talks for the ladies who care about what they're doing fitness wise, and getting some of the fitness people I know on to talk about their pathway and journey to being super fit.
That would be cool.
I wanted to talk to some people at Hal's Dallas Cowboys Rehab Center. There's a lot of people out there, who are Dallas fans that need help and are seeking counseling. And Hal is willing to help you out and help you navigate your feelings.
Shout out to Elia Ramama. Did I say that right? Elia Ramama, who says that she found you on Volume.
Oh man, it's fantastic. I appreciate you. I hope you follow. You know, please join us on Twitch if you like, and if not, continue to follow on Volume. And come through when we're actually mixing and playing some music. And don't forget to follow the Hal Show on Twitch. And don't forget to follow DJ Classics, who's not giving me any cookies or any baked goods on Twitch. He's a great DJ. Or Crazy Berrytown, who has a
Zumba
really
Queen.
cool fitness shoe. She has an incredible fitness shoe where she does Zumba and plays music, and she's pretty engaging.
Zumba Queen.
Yeah.
CBTZQ. All right, sir. I have to jump off because I was supposed to jump off at 7, but this was way too much fun.
Yeah, the one-on-one conversations are fantastic. I wanted to have the group conversation, and I am always open to you guys jumping into a conversation, especially like Classics could have easily gotten the link and joined us and added a lot to the conversation. I would love to have a conversation with Classics about how she digs for records and where she finds her music, and where she who she's influenced by as a DJ, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Captain Boots.
Yeah. She's got a long red jacket with the tails like a British captain. with some shoulder joints on. She's sitting there
Khakis
eating a cookie in
boots.
the car, telling her son, change the music. Alter the music.
Crazy Berrytown's 100 squat a day challenge.
Oh yeah, when's that going down? Crazy
Probably now.
Berrytown.
Probably every day, period. End.
You're doing
every day.
You're doing 100. Are they air squats or are you doing them with weights?
No,
Front
they
squats. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
now y'all know Jason Staten be posting on IG showing him deadlifting like 799 pounds, right?
I've never
Y'all-
deadlifted 799 pounds.
I know,
400,
but to
almost
tell the
5,
truth is
yes.
no fun. By the way, in closing, I just want to know, did you see, there's videos that pop up online or whatever. This cat was bench pressing. Now, I'm going to put this in the category, and I want y'all to put a 3 in the chat if you've ever seen a video, short video on YouTube, one of those reels on Facebook or whatever. You see a video and it's somebody doing something so stupid that you wonder how that video saw the light of day. Like, who posted it because they look so stupid? I can't be the only one. Now, the latest episode of How the Hell Did That Video See the Light of Day? This guy was benching and it looked like it was at least 305, Jason, at least. So he's sitting there, he's benching, he gets it up. There's no spot. And it starts coming down. It's coming down, it's coming down. And now it's on his chest. And he's stuck. And he's got clips on, so he can't do the bailout maneuver.
He can't bail out.
And he can't do the bailout maneuver. He's stuck. And as he's sitting there trying to figure out where to go, this bar starts to roll. Now it's on his neck. And now he's sitting there and is pressing on his neck and he's trying to get out from under the bar and he's on the bench and he's having to worm his way sideways and he's struggling and he's got to do all these contortions to get out. And the thing about it is the way his bench was set up, he couldn't just rack it because there was another bar behind his the cushion, so he couldn't just put it in the thing. Somehow his clips weren't high enough to where he could slam it back and roll out from under. So he has to go through all these contortions to get out from under this bar. I know he was hurt. He made it out. He made it out, obviously. Now somebody tell me how the hell that video saw the light of day.
Somebody else put it up for him. It's not like you were looking at his Instagram channel or his YouTube channel. Somebody was like, look at this clown. I'm going to record the whole thing.
But I'm just
Brax said that happened to Reggie Bush.
Did it?
Which means if that happens, Brax, that means one of the trainers or somebody on his team was like, I'm recording this fool right now.
But
and they recorded it and then they put it out.
But it had to be him recording himself trying to, because I'm getting annoyed walking into the gym. Folks be rolling up in the gym with the entire ring light, phone clip, tripod setup to do their whole stuff in the LA Fitness while they doing the ab machine.
Oh yeah.
And I guess I shouldn't get it. It doesn't hurt me any. It's just funny to me, so I'm not really annoyed. But there was nobody filming him. That camera was sitting still. It was set up on something. And because usually when somebody's filming on the slide, it's at least jiggling because they're breathing. Nah, this thing was on some type of tripod. And it's just, there was nobody around. I'm assuming he was at home. And I got into a conversation that could be our next conversation, Jason. Bring on Miss JUK, somebody else. We could talk about exercise and lifting in the gym because there is a debate in that. When you're benching that much, do you leave the clips off so you could bail out? Or do you put the clips on so that it doesn't go unbalanced while you're lifting?
I can tell you this. If you're going up in weight, first thing is you should have somebody there because you probably haven't, you haven't tried that. And then second thing is sometimes there's a Smith rack. The Smith machine, where all you have to do is roll back and it
roll it back,
it rolls back and goes in the thing. But I mean, weights are dangerous. Weights will kill you. So there's that, and then the other question is this: was that even real? Like, what I'm saying, well, dude,
It looks
There's
crazy.
there are people you've seen the ones where the people are on the running machines and they go shooting off the running machine and you can tell
Yeah,
they did it on purpose. You
yeah.
could easily, you could end up you could end up mechanized. You could end up being a guy controlling your life on a joystick like that. You know what I mean?
The
One
way
little
it's
mistake,
mechanized.
you know, one little mistake,
Mechanized. I
one
mean,
little mistake.
it's just
eh,
crazy.
You know,
It's just crazy. I'm telling y'all now, my personal philosophy at this point, if I'm in the gym and I'm by myself, I'm not going to try to lift anything I can't lift by myself. Um, and the second, I mean, because for me, since I took so much time off from lifting heavy, it will ain't no time soon are you gonna see me lifting heavy. Now you've been consistent in it and you're good. I've well removed from it. So right now, when I get back to lifting, I'm gonna start off with some simple stuff, some kettlebells, some kettlebell swings, some landmine exercises, some really and some lighter dumbbells and see if I want to work my way back up to that. But I don't know. These people are out trying to lift all this heavy stuff, wrecking their shoulders and doing all this crazy stuff and then posting it online. And it's just like,
well, some people just like there's something to be said for working your way up and showing people the change physically that you're experiencing. There's also something to be said for people who only post themselves when they look absolutely perfect. Um, then then there are these people that what they're doing it for. Like, there's a lady at the gym that I'm leaving, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to win some gym shark clothing." So she was in there literally shooting herself a video so she could hashtag Gymshark and then maybe get some clothes. You know
get
what I
some free
mean?
stuff.
Yeah, she's trying to get some free stuff. She's trying to become. There's other people who are trying to become a brand. There's some people who really are a brand. What's her name that lives here? The girl that has her own tennis shoes or whatever. Track Baby. Look her up online. Track Baby
Track baby.
001
Okay.
or something like that. But anyway, there's people who basically their profession is looking good. You know what I mean? And people wonder how they got there. If you ask them how they got there, they're not really sharing that information with you, and not even for money. And it's mostly about them looking good. You know what I mean? Like, you'll find just so many pictures of them and some tight clothes or a fly dress or whatever, or some fly clothes, as you will of them actually working out. Then there's some people who are really hardcore into it, like the dude who does what is his thing? More more plates, more dates. And then there's another dude, and he's super scientific. Like, he talks about your blood type or your blood work and your hormone levels, and what you're eating, and various techniques for working on things. So there are people that are just doing it for different types of game, but the biggest game is, I'm in here at the gym, I look good. You know what I'm saying? You're watching me because I look good, and I post these things, and I have clever little philosophical and or motivational things next to whatever I posted. There's some people that don't even run their own Instagram, dude. They got millions of followers, and all they do is provide the content to somebody, and they post it. So, there's no telling what's real and what's not real anymore, bro. Like, I can't, like, you just don't know. And, who's using performance enhancers? Who's, what does it really take that woman or dude to get to that level? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, are you, some of the people are eating 8,000, 6,000, 1,000 calories a day. They're hitting the gym 2 times, 2 hours a piece, and they're training other people like their whole life is the gym. And they're getting money off looking good. Some of them getting money off of, doing other things, what I'm saying, online. So you just don't know where people are at and what their purpose is. Some people are just making crazy videos to make crazy videos. Dude could have either A, been faking it, or B, just thought it was funny and posted it
Yeah,
because he
because
knew it was going to get a million hits.
everybody wants to be an influencer or get that channel going. Because I mean, there's a lot of people who are getting a lot of views. And I'm gonna say this. This is gonna be my last thing. I'm gonna tell you what my pet peeve is of people trying to make videos and put
Is it
videos.
Crocs? Is your pet peeve Crocs?
No.
Is it going outside with eyelashes and rain
No.
and shower caps?
Here's what my pet peeve has become. Okay, here's what we see now.
It's not pinstripes.
Jason makes a video where he is talking about how absurd it is, the things people do on video to chase clout, right? Okay, so Jason has taken the time to create a video. Then Hal comes along, and all Hal does is use this app to take Jason's video. And while Jason's video is playing, all I'm doing is sitting there like this. Or, it like, it's gotten, for some reason, it annoys me because now, and maybe it's a TikTok thing really, but it has become the easy way to make content by simply taking somebody else's made content and me just sitting there and make facial expressions or laugh or say mm-hmm or whatever. It's kind of a reaction video or whatever where I'm not doing much. Now, and I'm not talking about the ones where somebody will take your video and then they'll give more commentary. That's different. Listen, Ilya Ramama, you're new and you're already with the foolishness. I see how it is. All hell breaks loose. See, but I love this person already.
He fits
but
right in.
Fits right in. I like it. But then I remember saying to myself, okay, so now we've got basically people hijacking somebody else's content. And yeah, they give them credit, but just so they can get views of people watching them react. Then the other day, I'm watching a video where somebody who took the reaction video and now they are playing the reaction video so that now you see their reaction to this video. Like, people are lazy.
Here's the thing. The first person that did that was the skinny black dude,
Brax.
and I was not mad at him. Hosting is first of all, hosting is dope. That I honestly, Brax, that's another T-shirt. That's so fly. That's fly.
But for the host,
the skinny black dude who would do the things like people would be having trouble with something, and he would like take out like something that was a simple solution and do it. He was dope. He was an originator. So that type of reaction, I appreciated that first because it was innovative.
Yeah.
Honestly, for whoever the first person to take a reaction and do it the right way, if it's funny, I'm not mad at them. Like if that dude, if I cut that dude out and he was doing the thing, I think he did something when he did something with tea and stirred it up and then drank it because somebody was having trouble with something. Anyway, if I took that and I just sat there and looked completely sideways like this and then watched him do it, I'm not mad at me or the person who does that. But if everybody keeps doing that, then it's whack. You know what I'm saying? Like it's lazy if you continue to reinvent something that somebody already invented.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was one video, and I've just sat there complete. The original video, it was this small Facebook group that I'm in, and somebody posted it, and my comment was, the original video was funny. Watching the person on the reaction side do nothing but sit and laugh and try to just seem like they're dying laughing was annoying. It was more annoying than entertaining. Like, you're distracting me from the original video because you look so goofy sitting there looking like you're just losing it. I didn't need that.
But I'd like to see, before you leave, the only thing I'm interested in seeing is a reaction video where people do essentially the Cosby Kid thing. In other words, at the beginning of the Cosby Kids, they would throw stuff to Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby would catch it, and then Bill Cosby would throw stuff, and they would catch it. If we were all making reaction videos to other reaction videos, and then it cuts off, and then the person throws a tennis ball, and the other person catches it, and the person hits the tennis ball, and the next person fucking hits it. Like, if it was something dope like that. Like,
well, they were doing it. They were doing that because I remember, there's always these fads or these trends or whatever. And there was some song, Don't Rush, or some type of, it's not reggae, but it's some type of island music song. And you had the people, like it would be the girls of the military or whatever. So it would be woman A, and she'd be in her uniform, and then she would put her hand up against the camera, and when it came back, she's changed into like evening wear or something like that.
Right.
And then she would have like a hairbrush or something, and she'd drop it. And then the next person would catch it and then do that. And they kept that
Yeah.
was how they kept tying themselves to each other. So they were doing that kind of. But anyway, thank y'all for coming. Jason, appreciate you for inviting me on.
Nah, man, it was incredibly fun. It's good to have a one-on-one conversation with somebody who's as masterful at research, grabbing stuff from the internet, has a broad understanding of the zeitgeist, and is genuinely creative and generally a good, engaging person. So thanks for hanging out.
I appreciate you, sir. And then we're gonna do the flip flop of this on Friday. So
Yeah, absolutely.
so
I wish more you got, like, I wanted to get Brax on. Brax is doing his taxes. Right now, LV
be more Angie.
is on Club Fro. Be more Angie, what's up? I think we should go to Club Fro after this. I think it's only right if Miss JUK is okay with that.
Yep.
I always have a way for people to call in both on their phone and video. So anytime you want to join the conversation, you can do that. We really didn't get into that today because Hal was unfortunately too interesting. And I didn't know if I wanted to interrupt the Hal-ism, the Hal.
Look, man, you started the rabbit holes. I just followed you down. I wish I really, it would be interesting if you could visually diagram our discussion starting from the start point and see how many branches went off from the conversation.
We'd have to hire somebody from Emory that's in logistics and research, and then another kid who's really good at graphics, and then they could do that, and I could just do, like, literally that would be fun. I just need I don't think you can really do anything interesting without a team. Like I told you, I wanted to do a documentary about NPR, about how Radiolab comes up with stories, how Terry Gross prepares for interviews, how how things are done at NPR because they're so fantastic. That would be brilliant. But I think, to do things like that, you have to have a group of people who can help you manifest that. And if you don't, you know what I'm saying? It's impossible to do that level of work.
See, you see Psalmist talking about don't blow up my ego. My head barely fits in the camera. There's one thing that I say, me, Psalmist, and Cop and Cutie say to each other all the time. It be the folks closest to you. They're always the first ones to just like jab and stab. Why she call me big? Why she say my head? I got a big ego.
Well, I would say this. Don't be Donald Trump and then sit around trying to prove that your head is small. Just back up away from the camera. See, now it's getting bigger. Now it's getting smaller.
All right, y'all. Hey, I'm out, bro. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I hope to see you guys next week on the conversation. I think next week is going to be DJ House Shoes from Street Corner Music. Maybe a few guests. If you hadn't listened to it yet, you guys need to check out Method Man's new single. It's crazy. I'll holler at you guys later. Join me tomorrow, 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes of fire every day, Monday through Friday, 8:45 a.m. to 9 o'clock, 15 minutes. And if you guys want to talk about anything, email me, jasonstaten@gmail.com. What's up, Ivy? Everybody, have a fantastic week. We'll do the playlist thing sometime during the week, which is where we all get together and we all suggest songs and we build a playlist that we can ride around and listen to. That's a combination of music that we've discovered. If you guys are down for that, please come through. Please direct message me and please join. I'll announce a time no later than Tuesday. Thanks, everybody, so much for joining. It's been another great conversation. Thank you to the Hal Show. Thanks to everybody that showed up, that found me on either Volume, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Everybody have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you later. See you at 8:45 tomorrow morning. Everybody be safe and have an amazing week. Especially thanks Brax for hanging out with us. He's such a celebrity in Crazy Berrytown. Celebrity. And DJ Classics, who has amazing baked goods, but apparently doesn't want to share them with me. Good night.